Sisters of Gold by Annie Murray. Read by Clare Corbett. A week's work in Birmingham. A week's work in Birmingham in its aggregate results in something wonderful. It comprises the fabrication of 14 millions of pens, 6,000 bedsteads, 7,000 guns, 300 million of cut nails, 100 million of buttons, 1,000 saddles, 5 millions of copper or bronze coins, 20,000 pairs of spectacles, 6 tons of papier-mâché ware, £30,000 worth of jewellery, 4,000 miles of iron and steel wire, 2 tons of pins, 5 tons of hairpins, hooks and eyes and eyelets, 130,000 gross of wood screws, 500 tons of nuts, screw bolts, spikes and rivets, 50 tons of wrought iron hinges, 350 miles length of wax for vestas, 40 tons of refined metal, 40 tons of German silver, 1,000 dozen of fenders, 3,500 bellows, 1,000 roasting jacks, 150 sewing machines, 800 tons of brass and copper wares, besides an almost endless multitude of miscellaneous articles, of which no statistics can be given, but which, like those enumerated, find employment for hundreds and thousands of busy hands and are destined to supply the manifold wants of humanity, from China to Peru. Birmingham Weekly Post, the 9th of July, 1892. All that is needed for a workman to start as a master is a peculiarly shaped bench, known as a peg, and a leather apron, 1 or 2 pounds worth of tools, including a blowpipe, and for material, a few sovereigns and some ounces of copper and zinc. His shop may be the top room of his house, or a small building over the wash-house at a rent of 2 shillings or 2 shillings 6pence a week, and the indispensable gas jet. J. S. Wright, 1866, member of the Local Industries Committee of the British Association at Birmingham. The pursuit of technique for itself leads to mere mechanism, but being tempered by an artistic idea, it is humanized and becomes beautiful. R. Catterson Smith, 1901, Headmaster of the Birmingham School of Jewellery and Silversmithing, 84 Victoria Street. 1. Chapter 1. Birmingham, 1904. Jack Sidwell arranged himself beneath a Bovril advertisement on the platform at Snow Hill Station and waited, fidgeting and fretting about his hat. On a dandyish whim brought on by the sweltering August weather, he had treated himself to a second-hand straw boater. The speckled mirror in the wardrobe dealer's cramped room, where he tried it on, had flattered his boyish features into looking their full 26 years. Even with his neat blonde moustache, Jack never looked his age. He paid his 1 6 and set off along the street with a swagger. Now that he had agreed to come and meet these 2 young women off the train, he was beginning to long for the familiarity of his old cloth cap. That I look a proper Charlie and other demoralizing thoughts started to pester at him, along with the heaviness of his jacket in the heat, the moistness of his back and armpits. He might be a young man with a business all his own, he even employed another lad now. But still, he just felt like a sweaty chump in a silly hat. Several trains arrived and departed. Sidelong beams of sunlight lit the smoke and steam as it unfurled towards the iron roof beams. There was a feverish feel to the afternoon. The stenches of horse-muck and industry blooming in the heat, light glancing off the tracks in the distance, the talk all around of the hanging this morning at the jail over in Winson Green. He shuddered. Made you feel queer thinking about that. Jack tugged nervously at his collar and drew in a hot smut-laced breath. What were these 2 women doing anyway, coming to Birmingham? He'd picked up rumours in the house, some trouble, them needing a bolt hole. But he hadn't dared ask Mr. Watts. It all seemed a bit rum, and he was curious to see what these wenches would look like. Not that they were wenches, exactly, not by the sound of it. The Bristol train came steaming in, pulled by a magnificent thudding beast of an engine. By the time the air had cleared and the bulk of passengers began to disperse, halfway along the platform, he saw 2 young women in plain grey clothes and straw bonnets standing uncertainly close together. They had to be the ones.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?